My gosh, look what I have. It's a big box. It's a big box. Oh my goodness, there's something taped to the back. Maybe. Oh, it's just does it say what they are? No, it's just the invoice and, okay. Oh my goodness. So I'm cutting the box. Let me spare you all that. Well, I know some of you like to see a box get opened, so. It's a big box, so it's so exciting. Alrighty. Wow. Okay, now I don't know which one is the Bordoni. So, and they're all wrapped up so tight. My lips are sealed. I'm not revealing what the other ones are, but this one's the last one, so it must be the Bordoni Rivoltini. Some really nice decks in here. Okay, so let me flip the camera so you can see me unwrap it. Here we go. And, you know, the UPS man just arrived, and whenever Marco sends something, it comes very quickly, very quickly. And I'm in the US. Look at that. So this looks like a wet deck that we saw part of in the Eliphas Levi deck, that Eliphas Levi used certain cards from an Alouette deck. And when I did my video on the Eliphas Levi deck, I did a number of videos, and I have them linked in a video from a day or two ago. I also showed another Alouette deck in its entirety, but it looks like Marco may have created one himself. Okay. Tarocco Milanese Bordoni 1885. Look at that. As always, quality. A nice box. Ooh, tight. There we go. I have nail polish on, so I don't want to get my nail polish on the box or anything. Okay, look at that. Tarocco Milanese, Fabbrica dei Bordoni, and C. Milano Muglio, 1885. Restored by Marco Benedetti. So, edition with Rivoltini. Wow, okay, wow. Okay, so this is, the Rivoltini signifies that it's done in the fashion that they would have been created back in the day when they were created. Here's the back, isn't this lovely? And so the back, you know, there's a card paper, and I suppose there's something in between the back and the card. I don't know, I'm not a card maker. And then the card back is placed on and then painstakingly adhered to the front, which is why we have borders traditionally, even though they're not folded over paper anymore. That's why we have the appearance of borders on our, you know, modern decks. So let's go through this beautiful deck. And Marco, you're an angel. Marco just had a birthday, so of course we wish him the best, happiest birthday ever. I am seeing this for the first time with you. So I'm going to hold it close. Il Bagatelle. And he looks like a cobbler. We see that he's an artisan, so he's not a trickster. Now, it is a low-ranking number, so the artisan or the shoemaker, the cobbler, could be still seen as a low-ranking job or, person in society. He's part of society. He's not disrespected or anything like that, but he's low-ranking. Now you'll notice the next card, we have the female pope, then we have the empress, then we have the emperor, and then we have the pope. All of the people, are low-ranking. All these people of note are low-ranking, which is interesting. So even though La Papessa may seem like an elevated position, she still only ranks number 2. And she ranks, that way in part because she's a woman. The 2 women are the 2 lower ranking. But look at the color. We have the beautiful teal. Look at that, and the orange. And the Empress lets us know that she was published in Milan originally. Very pretty. Very nice. So we see no eagle, but we just see the cross. And here we have the Pope. And we have a person here on the side, and these 2 gentlemen with tonsured heads. We have another gentleman here with a tonsured head. So they could either be cardinals, men of piety, or piety, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right either way, that are seeking the attendance of the Pope. They could be cardinals or they could be pilgrims. He has his triple-tiered crown. He has his staff with triple-tiered type of cross, where the color is just beautiful. So we have a teal and orange motif, their color motif. It's lovely. The Lover. So the Putti, or the Eros or Cupid, in a cloud with a burst. Could this be, this is a crowned individual, so could this be somebody who's sanctioned or has approved of the wedding? So we don't have the sense of like a choice, like we might have with a more traditional Marseille. Although some people might think it could look like a woman, but I think this more looks like somebody who's sanctioning or approving of the marriage, or maybe the person who's making it official. And we have the Chariot. So we have the teal, we have the beautiful orange, and I wouldn't say like orange. No, it's more like a peach, maybe, not even peach. I don't know, what is that? And then we have the cream, the buttercream yellow. Oh, so pretty, very pretty. Justice. Lovely, 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 lovely. The Hermit. And by now in the Italian decks, reabsorbing the tradition of what was going on in France, is no longer an hourglass, but a lantern, like we have seen many times in the French. He's got a walking stick. Perhaps that could suffice as a time, could, help and aid his walking, but it could also be a time, a time dial during the day. The wheel turns this way. Lady Fortuna, Lady Luck, with wheat, a flame. I mean, the Italians would have understood what the symbolism was since they invented it, so it's not as hodgepodge or abstract or confused in the Italian decks because they knew what it was. We have the spokes of the wheel. We have a fox going up. Isn't that interesting? We have a cornucopia, so Lady Luck is being generous, but it's falling on this side even though the wheel is turning that way. Fortitude. The Hanged One. And of course, he's awake because according to Gertrude Moakley, who made the thought, and it seems very reasonable, they were like wanted posters. So the whole point was to see who the person was, because the idea was that they were being punished for something. And the whole idea was that they should have been disgraced or humiliated. So they had to be identifiable. We have some growth at the gallows, hung by 1 foot. So pretty. And the virtuous wings of temperance. You notice the pyramids in the background. And I think, doesn't the Albano White Smith deck have a rainbow? I wonder if there's the same. I guess not. Again, we have a winged creature, but these are not wings of virtue. These are wings of a lack of virtue or vice, right? The wings of vice. So we have a hairy-legged devil with his minions who are they tethered to the thing? They're certainly attached, but I don't know if they're tethered. And vanity comes before the fall. And we have, look at that. Wow. That's one of the prettiest tower cards. So we have, a celestial thing happening from the sun, not necessarily from a storm cloud. Look at that. So pretty. We have an eruption in the background. And the crown, would be the top that, just like when you play a game of chess, right? The rook has that kind of top. It's just the style or the fashion of finishing off the top. And look at that. What are those? So we have fire, and then we have I don't know, leaves, or I want to say manna, but I don't know if that's correct. The lovely star card. Such a pretty card. So we have the 7 stars. We have a beautiful woman with her pouring of water. The opportunity of rains. It's a good time to, it's a card of opportunity. It's a card of navigating your way. Just remind you of those things, but even though you probably already know. So pretty. Here we have the moon. Wow, now the crustacean. He is really popping up. You know, sometimes we worry that the dogs who are, you know, they're dogs of prey, you know, that will get the crustacean. But this crustacean looks like he could take those two on. So we have our towers, the usual ingredients. We have the moon in during an eclipse or something. Eclipse, rather, excuse me. And lovely. So we have friendship, siblings, perhaps a romance, the light of day. They're in a walled garden, so there may be water. He has something behind him. I'm not sure what. Could be on the wall. Judgment. And the World card. So those are, and then of course the Fool card. So those are the cards that represent the higher order. And of course I just have them in the order that they were sent to me, so I haven't put them in my usual order. We have the King of Cups. Detail. The little spark at the end of his shoe. The Queen. We have her windows. So many times I've wondered if the Queen of Cups, you know, did the windows become windows because it was misunderstood that it was a canopy, you know, it was like a high-rise throne and then a canopy that kind of hung forward. And somehow I'm convinced that that's what happened. I've never read it in any book. I've never heard anyone say it, but that's what I think. And remember where you heard it first, folks. I've been saying it for years, but that's what I think. We have our romantic night. So, and then we have the Infant or the Valet of Cups, my boyfriend. So he's got a lid. It's not a hat. But the tunic is in and part of the chalice, and it almost looks like, is it the tunic that's covering it, or is it like water flowing? You know, a tunic to resemble water, and he does have a wreath on his head. But that does look like a chalice lid rather than a hat, doesn't it? How things get misunderstood. Okay, we have 10 cups. Nine. So beautiful in their simplicity. Yeah, gotta be careful. Brand new cards, they stick together a little bit. 8. And notice that in case you have the cards upside down, you still see that it's an 8. Let's see how the 9 was. Same way. 7. So even if you are playing the cards, you know, it's very convenient. If you're playing the cards and they're upside down, you don't have to reverse it because you can see. And it's accurate. It's an accurate count. So and it's a 6, 5. Lovely. So pretty. My hat goes off to you, Marco. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, what a pretty chalice. It almost has like a Swiss influence a little bit, doesn't it? Almost. We see a little bit of it here suggested in the stem and a little bit in there. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. King of Swords. Got a little bit of facial hair there. Sitting on some type of box. Chest. The Queen. The Knight in a little bit of a hurry. And the Page or the Valet or the Infant. Wow, look at that. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh. So pretty. So, oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Look at that. That's gorgeous. You know I'm going to be doing a couple readings with this one. Look at that. Lovely. Very nicely done. My goodness. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Beautiful suit of swords. Exquisite. Moving on to the suit of batons. Oh, my husband is just pulling into the driveway, which means we'll be hearing noise shortly. So it's interesting, like we see frequently, we have a young man whose horse, you know, they're going in this direction, but they're distracted by something in the opposite direction. Sort of like a fancy, let me see what the other horses look like. I apologize for, yeah, I guess they all have kind of pretty outfits on. The horses are kind of pretty. Yeah, the horses are all kind of fancy. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's like a rainbow of color. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is great. This is so beautiful. Wow. I want to take a look at it with my own eyes. Wow. 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 Oh my gosh. How is this not going to be a favorite deck? I don't know. Look at that. So this almost looks like autumn. rather than spring or summer. Okay, we have the Queen of Coin. What happened to the King? He should have been here. Where's the King? There he is. He's not at a gallop, he's just trotting along, knows where he's going, knows what he wants. Very pretty, pretty gold, you know. It's lovely. 10, 9. Sorry about this. They are sticking together a little bit. 8. But the beauty of the, you know, tertiary colors, you know, the green and the gold or the orange, it's just so pretty. Oh my goodness. Marco does understand color. 6. Oh man. 5. Look at that. And we've seen this before, right? 4, 3. Ah. Oh. Wow. So beautiful. So beautiful. Lovely. And we still, you know, we see the stamp of authenticity. Okay. So, shall we try to riffle shuffle? Sometimes I'm a little scared to riffle shuffle these. I mean, they're Rivoltini. They're meant to last. You know, it's meant to protect the cards. Let me make it an even chunk if I can. Now, you know, bear in mind that sometimes these Rivoltini decks are a little thicker. My Metelli is just a little thicker. I prefer not to shuffle them that way. I know that Marco would tell me that it's fine too, but I prefer to overhand shuffle these decks. So lovely, just great. Let's see, I'm going to do some readings, you know, for sure. In the next couple of videos will be readings with this, and this is not a good shuffle at all. So, you know, I would have to really do some maniacal shuffling overhand to get it properly shuffled, because overhand shuffling is not as good as riffle shuffling. But dear universe, I'm not going into a meditative place or anything, but, you know, let's just get some good news. Let's just have a couple cards for good news. We all want to hear good news. Should we look at these? Oh, have fun with your peeps. How's about that? Good news, right? Have fun with your peeps. And everything will come out in the wash. So we have 15 and 3 is 18. 18 and 20 would be 38 minus 22. I think that would be temperance. Let's pull temperance. These aren't very well shuffled because, as I mentioned, you really have to riffle shuffle 11 times to get a deck of 78 in proper order. You see, they are not substantially or adequately shuffled when you overhand, unless you do it maniacally, which I'll have to do. Let me pull the temperance card. You know, since the read was for some good news, I want to read these in the best possible light. So we have fun with our peeps, fun with our group, our gang. Something may be found out. Something might be brought to light. And it will be tempered. So I'm guessing that tempered news. Cause for celebration with your peeps. How do you like that? That's what I'm going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Until next time, friends. Peace, stay well, and be brave.